It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Wednesday, August 13th, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, do not follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have the world news, evangelism word study, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? And yes, it is a wonderful and awesome Wednesday. We have Wednesday service tonight. Hope you guys will enjoy as much as you can. We're already in the middle of the week, and of course, it's already the 13th. We're getting into the middle of the month already. Don't forget, tomorrow is Q&A Thursday, and it's every single week, so get those questions ready. Send them to me whenever you can, and if you haven't yet, please leave a like and comment for today's video so we can build and make this community better and better. Now, I am super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive, so let's get up and support each other each and every day. This week's Sunday message title is Break Free, Be Born Again, Explain Well. Now, first and foremost, I do have to give an apology because yesterday's podcast was posted up really late, and let me tell you why. Everything was set, everything was ready. However, I'm not sure if you guys, those of you guys on YouTube, you'll know this, that whenever you change countries and time zones, sometimes the computer takes your YouTube takes some time to change locations. So when I set it up for 4:30 in the morning, it was actually in Canada time, which means that it came out really late. I realized it later, and I had to just manually put it to public, and that was not till like 3 p.m. on Tuesday. So that is my fault. I should have double checked. I was sitting there like, I think it's right. I think it's okay because my whole computer switched time zones anyways. But I realized it didn't work. So, my apologies for sending in that podcast a little bit late. Well, not a little bit late. It's almost like 11 hours late. That's my fault. I should have double-checked it even beforehand. I'm going to be honest, yesterday, it's like my first real day of sleeping after jet lag. And, guys, let me tell you how everything actually happened, okay? So the reason why I'm so exhausted, I didn't wake up till 11:30. Okay. Now, why was it like that? So, right now I am back in Korea, but how I got here was crazy. So on Saturday, I left Vancouver on Saturday, and of course you lose a day because it's 16 hours ahead. Korea is, right? So I went to the airport early, and for some reason, everything's getting delayed. It's delayed, and I was in the airport for like over 6 hours, just waiting and waiting and waiting. It finally takes off, and I'm like, man, and for me, I'm just like, that's so crazy because I arrive on Sunday, and since I'm not in Seoul, I have to take a bus for 3 hours to go all the way down to Daejeon. And from there, this is where I can... From Daejeon is where I can, still have to take a car for like 30 minutes. But since everything was delayed, I didn't end up arriving in Seoul at the airport until like midnight on Sunday night, which means all the buses are all done, and like the next bus is not till 6:20 in the morning the next day. And it was so crazy. I was like, what is going on? Why is this taking so long? And everything took long, even the flight. I was wondering to myself, this flight's supposed to be a little over 10 hours, but it turned into like a 12-hour flight. And I'm like going, what kind of airline is this? Like, what the heck is going on? So I find out later that there was some earthquake in Russia, and because of that earthquake, a volcano erupted twice. And there was just ashes spewing in the air, and it caused a ton of flights to and from Asia to be delayed or canceled. And it was crazy because I was looking up at the screen, when you go to the airport, and I'm going to, because I got there at midnight, and then I had to stay there for 6 hours at the airport. I slept in the airport, whatever it was. I looked at the sign, where it shows all the flights coming in. I think like 70% of them were delayed. I was like, that's so weird. 70% are delayed. And that's when I found out about this, volcanic eruption in Russia, which caused tons of flights to and from Asia to be delayed or canceled. And that, I was in more than 6 hours in the Vancouver airport. I arrive really late on Sunday night, more than 6 hours there in that airport, waiting for my flight. It's like waiting for the bus. Um, it was crazy, right? And after that, I had to take the bus for another 3 hours just to get to Daejeon. And then no one could pick me up at that time, so I had to take a taxi for another 40 minutes to my house, right? So it was crazy. And even from my arrival, so I arrived at midnight. I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep at all at the airport. So there's 6 hours there, 3 hours on my bus. And then I didn't go to sleep until like Monday at like 11 p.m. I was completely exhausted, but I didn't go to sleep until like 11 p.m. And then this morning I woke up at 11:30 a.m. I was gone, right? And then to make things even crazier, this morning I wake up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so late. And I went to go take a shower. There's no water. I was like, what the heck is going on? And I just found out this entire area of Jinsan, the entire area has no water, right? And I was just sitting there like, oh. So I had to go to the Daejeon Hotel sauna. And, because I had the next appointment at 1. I woke up at 11:30. I didn't get there till 12. And then I just basically took a shower and then came back out. Like I spent $10. 10,000 won to get into the sauna to use for 20 minutes. And I came out after, showering up and everything else. And then I went straight to work. And then now I'm just doing my Rebel Pastor video. I just finished that. And now I'm doing this, I'm doing this podcast. I'm just going to make sure that this is scheduled properly so it's not late for tomorrow too. But, it was just, what an ordeal. Like even when I got back, I was in the airport until the bus was 3 hours to Daejeon, and then I was just like, man, I'm starving. And then I ate at the bus station, and then I took a taxi for another 40 minutes, and it cost me like $40 just to get back. And then now, it's been a long day, but I'm super thankful and happy that I was able to get a lot of rest. And from my experience and what everyone else is telling me, the exact same thing is your jet lag coming to Korea is okay. The jet lag is terrible when you're going from Asia to America. Like that's terrible. It's going to Asia, like even now, I don't feel the grogginess that I did when I was in Vancouver. And I was like that for an entire week. But here it's a lot easier. It's a lot better right now. But yeah, it was a pretty crazy schedule. Think about that. 6 hours in the Vancouver airport, 12 hours in the air, another 6.5 hours in the Incheon airport, 3 hours on a bus, 40 minutes by taxi, and then back to work. So yeah, not exciting for me, right? Not exciting. And then the next day, I just crashed out. So how was your weekend? It couldn't have been any worse than mine. And then no water in the morning. But yeah, for me, just even though it was like 8 days, very thankful to see my parents and friends in Vancouver. Thankful to see the church members, and always grateful to see the members too. But yeah. Oh, I had this interesting realization, right? This I guess not natural, not like a nature revelation, but like a realization through my experience in life. Now, I don't know if I guys told you this before, but I bought a coffee grinder from America. Like I went through all the different reviews, personal coffee grinder, this, and that. I was like, oh, this is great. This is a coffee grinder that I really need. I researched it. I found something that was decent, like reviewed heavily by a lot of these coffee influencers and stuff, right? And I don't know if I told you guys, I used it like twice and then it broke. And I was like, what the heck? It worked for twice and then it broke down. And my friend brought it for me from America, and I was just like, dude, can you return it because it doesn't even. And they're like, what? I was like, I don't know. Think about it. I researched a lot on it, and it just failed me. Now here's the crazy part. I just bought it again, and you're like, why would you buy that again? And and here's the thing, I bought it without even knowing why I bought it. Like God showed me later. So what happened was, I was in Vancouver. I was like, I might as well buy another grinder. And I researched again, and that product kept coming up over and over and over. And I was like, like I'm researching again. And I was like, I got fooled before. Is it going to be any different if I buy the exact same grinder? And then I was like, God, should I really get it? Because it failed me once before. Should I give it a second chance? Like, should I give it forgiveness kind of thing, right? And what I found was it was on sale. So someone was selling it. The original price is like $280 Canadian. And for you guys you don't know out there, that's really cheap for a coffee grinder. It was $280 Canadian. And someone was selling it for $200. I was like, wow, that's a good deal, right? And then I thought to myself is, you know what? Just give me a sign, God. I'll buy it only if they budge to 180. So it's like $100 off. I was like, I'll do that only that day. And on my last day of Vancouver, I went for it. I was like, hey, I can buy today, but if you give it for me 180, I'll buy it today with hesitancy. But the person calls back and says, sure, I'll give it to you if you get it today for 100 days. I was like, great. And, I bought it. And, God opened the door for me, but I was sitting there like, even for me, I'm just like, you're still hesitant, like, is it going to break down again? Is it going to break down again? And the crazy part was while I'm flying back, or not when I was at the airport and I had those 6 hours just to kill, I was like, I wonder why it didn't work. And something popped in my mind. I was like, wait a second. And I researched and I realized why it didn't work in Korea. It was the voltage. So Canada and America go on 110 volts, like all the plugs and everything is 110 volts, and all the machinery is done for 110 volts. However, Korea, Europe, and the rest of the world is at 220 volts. So what happens is, if you plug in a 110 volt like machine into 220 volt voltage, it short circuit. It doesn't work. It overheats and short circuits. And what you need to buy a plug that's a converter. It converts the 220 into 110 so that you can use appliances from America in Korea. And think about this. It's so crazy. I didn't realize why God made me buy this, but I thought, for me, I was like, what a crummy machine, what a dumb thing. But I realized later it was my own ignorance. Like, it was just the voltage. I just got to buy a converter that lessens the voltage from 220 to 110, and I can use the grinder. And I was like, that's so crazy. And I was like, that's like total conflict in ignorance, right? I was like, how ignorance can totally change your outlook on anything, even if something is good, right? And it can make something that is good turn out to be bad, right? And here's the crazy part is, as I'm thinking about this, I'm realizing that's what's happening right now to Sunsnim. It's because of ignorance. There's some things that they don't know. People are just basing it on what they hear, right? Or they might have had a bad experience, yet the bad experience also includes some ignorance, something that they didn't know. So this is why they look so badly at Sunsnim. His image is that bad. It reminds me of that verse in 1 Corinthians 2:8. We use it all the time in Bible study. None of the rulers of this age understood it, for if they had, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. And that is one of the verses we use when it comes to understanding that ignorance causes us to go against God. And for me, I was just like, oh my goodness, it's so crazy, right? And that verse makes so much more sense to me, like, because I'm going through some type of experience of ignorance myself. And it was like, wow, like something so small. It's just a small piece of info. I had everything else, right? I had not a converter, but I had an adapter. I had, the machine. I had everything. And I was like really happy. I did all the research. All the major and big parts were done, except for this one small piece of info that we didn't know. Like, imagine if I was like a huge influencer that's grading products, that's rating products, and basically, if you're like a huge influencer, the life and death of this product is in your hands. And because of small ignorance, I give a bad review that destroys the company kind of thing, right? It's so crazy how such a like small ignorance can change everything. See, you know what? I was looking at this coffee grinder, seeing all the reviews on it, and even big coffee influencers that were speaking good about it. And because of my ignorance, I was searching other places, and I already looked at that machine as a terrible machine. But later, when I realized what had happened, that like what ignorance I had, I came back to the same coffee grinder. I bought the same one. Isn't it crazy? And I don't know if this makes any sense too. There's two colors. There's black and white. The first time I bought it was black, right? And that kind of for me was like, oh, that's a symbol of my ignorance. And then this new one, which is white, I didn't even know it was white until later. It was a symbol of my ignorance. And once I realized, like, this is what's going on. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what's happening to Sunseam right now. Like, think about this too. Like I just talked about at the very beginning. What about my flight? Even that was ignorance, right? I was like, oh, I took a really cheap carrier and then it's always late. It's always, the flight takes longer. It's always delayed, man. And only later on, when I heard that it was because of a volcanic eruption in Russia, this is the reason it caused it. It wasn't the flight. It wasn't the plane itself. It was actually something completely out of their control. And it's so crazy to think that we judge based only on what we know, and we don't know everything. And that one thing that we don't know completely shifts our judgments and thoughts to even make something that is good, something that has, that has no issues or problems, but we look at it so badly, we never want to buy it again. We never want to ride that airline again. And you know what's even crazier is, like I already booked I'm going to be going back to Canada in September, the middle of September. And even though this same carrier, this airline carrier is like $100 cheaper, I didn't buy it. And I went for the more expensive one because I'm like, oh, I never want to have that experience again. All because of this small ignorance. Like, that's how scary. Isn't that crazy, guys? Like, that's how scary ignorance is. Ignorance is that scary that it can cause us to look at something that is good as terrible or bad. Ignorance is so scary that even right now, what is happening to Sunseam? That people are only looking at part of a story. Right? Even when it comes to the trial, how many people actually know that the audio forensics is that it was manipulated and edited? How many people know that? You know what I mean? So even when you look at it this way, it's like, wow, the way Satan works and how scary Satan works through what? Through ignorance. Like that is the thing that really, really blows my mind. And it's something that I looked at and I was like, man, that's so crazy, so scary. And now, I haven't opened my grinder because I already know that I don't have a converter. So there's no point of me even unpacking it until I have a converter. It's going to order that online. And then from there, it's going to be very, very easy. Easy for me to, start using it and not feel like this is how bad it was. Remember that grinder like broke after 2 tries and it never turned on again, right? After that, when I was watching other influencers like review this product, this same coffee grinder, I was thinking to myself like, wow, I'm so surprised that it hasn't broken down yet. Oh man, you know what? What if I wonder if it'll just break down in the middle of his review. But where does it all come from? It all came from that one piece of information that I didn't know. So yeah, I don't know. Like for me, I just found that to be incredibly like enlightening. And it was like, God, you really showed me something that I should understand and know a lot better too. So yeah, that's something I really want to share with you guys because it kind of just happened. It was like an epiphany, but it makes me realize what's happening to Sunseam also. Either way, all right? So I hope that everyone have an amazing and awesome Wednesday. That's the ending of today's first segment. Of course, we have the Evangelism Word Study next. But before we get into it, let's move into the first music break of the day.
Wearing coat suit Let us sing and dance joyfully. Even today's tears and tomorrow's smile. Our Lord will praise for peace of life is all one piece. 'Cause you will be a sparkling masterpiece. So with your hearts great, it beauty of precious stories along the way. Tomorrow will come when I cry or laugh. If the darkness of night covers me, the sun is always there, uncharging. If it cannot be seen, it will always shine on you. Even today's tears and tomorrow's smile. Our Lord will praise for peace of life. It's all one piece. 'Cause you will be a sparkling masterpiece. So with your hearts great, it beauty of precious stories along the way.
All right, so let's get into today's evangelism word study. And of course, this week's message gave a lot of insight, and Sunsim told us, like, what are some ways that we need to spread the gospel? Well, first and foremost, I think the thing that was really powerful just to get you started is, as people who have been saved by God. I think this is from last week's message. I think, is it last week's message? Like, people who have been saved by God. Right? If you've been saved by God, you need to give glory to God. But what's the way to give glory to God? It is to preach the gospel. Preaching the gospel is giving glory to God. And for me, I love this concept. And the reason, it's not just like, oh, preach the gospel. I like it because it doesn't say something like, you have to make people pass. It's not about making people come to this history. It's not that you have to bring like 10,000 people per year, whatever it is. It was more of, you just got to preach. People need to know that the time has come. You need to let people know that the time of the Lord's second coming has come, right? And I also, like, Sunseam was like, okay, so that's what we're all like, oh, preach about providence, preach about Sunseam, preach about this and that. But reality is what? Right? The reality is, well, that also means that we need to, like, well, what does it mean to preach? Like, how should we preach? And I would say one thing that the message was very clear about was sometimes like, where all the problems happen is because we rush people through. That's where the problems happen. Where what we do is we only teach about the complete testament. We only teach about Sunseam's mission. And that becomes the number one thing in our hearts and our minds. And that's the thing that we're kind of driving people either away or they grow up, abnormally? Maybe something like that. Like, that's something that I looked at, I was like, oh, that's so interesting that we need to understand this really well. Sunseam's like, don't just teach about the complete testament time. You need to do what? You need to take them through the Old Testament, New Testament, complete testament, right? Because this is when they're going to have a larger breadth of what is actually supposed to happen. Like, oh, this is what's going on. You know, oh, this is what it meant in the Old Testament, which leads to the New Testament. It's like, oh, okay, so what are we waiting for now? And I liked one of the best things from this week's message is, what is the greatest question in the Bible? The greatest question right now is the Lord's second coming. Why? First coming's already come, second coming's already come. So what's left? What's remaining? It's only the Lord's second coming, right? And I think that's something that we have to get back in our heads again, is we're so used to being in this history. We're so used to just kind of being here and understanding the word, and we hear for what it truly is. And sometimes when you're in this echo chamber of truth, you forget what is happening outside, what people actually believe, what they think about, what they're thinking about when it comes to the Lord's second coming, what they're thinking about when it comes to, what they believe in the Bible. Whether it's a Christian or not, they're going to have these concepts, and we need to understand that people are not thinking in this way. We have to think differently about it. And we kind of got to bring ourselves to, hey, remember, this is what people are going through, right? This is what they're thinking at this moment, and we need to understand their shimjung in order for us to evangelize them well, right? I would say that it wouldn't be any different than me as a Generation X trying to evangelize a Generation Z in a Generation X way. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a certain way that I see things. There's a certain way that I've lived and I've grown up. And it's so archaic and it's so weird for everyone who is not in my generation. Like, my generation was still in that time where we didn't have internet, right? We didn't have smartphones, and we were playing outside all the time. We were, going into the forest, riding our bikes, getting injured. I remember a couple times like climbing fences and stepping on nails and getting my feet are pierced by a nail while I'm running around. Then I have to get shots and antibiotics and this and that. Why? Because that's kind of the life that I was living. I was one generation away from what? From people who are walking 10 kilometers to school. You know what I mean? Where for me, always got a ride. Parents dropped me off. This happening, that happening. It was just something where I was living a little bit more difficult life, right? It's way more difficult than what we have now. I didn't have a cell phone, right? So what did I do? I had to use a payphone. And only the people who are from that generation are going to understand, like, how we can use a payphone without ever paying. And you're like, how does that work? Well, when you make a collect call, like, only people in my generation are going to be the ones that understand when you make a collect call, you have like 4 seconds to tell your name. Like, they'll say, you record your name. So they say after the beep, record your name. And I'd be like, Mom, pick me up at school right now. Right. And then my mom would pick up the phone and it'd be like, hello, you have a collect call from Mom, pick me up from school right now. And then she's like, okay. And she wouldn't take the collect call and she'd just come pick me up at the school. There was no cell phones. We had to use these types of like different strategies. We had pagers. Like, that was the cool thing in high school for me. We had pagers where people would still have to use a payphone to page me to call them back. Do you know what I mean? It was so, when I look at it now, I'm like, what a weird thing. It's so weird, but because no one had a phone, no one had a cell phone, right? So for me, like, imagine my generation trying to connect with the Generation Z. It's way more privileged, way more. They have more things than I had growing up. It's so interesting. When I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, it's so true. It really is true that us too, we cannot look at it from our privileged position of what? We're like Generation Z. We're in the privileged position of the 6,000 years before us, and we have the truth. Like, how many of us have really been proud lately that we have truth? That we have been set free through the truth. Think about that. Isn't that crazy? And we have to be those that really understand ourselves really well and understand this generation well. Because we have to be those that do what? We have to be those that need to preach to this generation. This generation of privilege, this generation of physical comfort. But the one thing we do know is, even though Generation Z is a generation where there is less consumption of alcohol. It's a generation where there's less people having sex before marriage. However, it is a lonely generation. And we need to understand where they're coming from. And I do think that when it comes to us going to evangelize, I think one of the things we should never do is rush. And for me I think it's far better to be safer than for us to rush. And of course, there's going to be people we need to rush. There's going to be people we're like very inspired by the Holy Spirit. But in more cases than not, I've seen it's not so much the Holy Spirit, but it's that person who really, really wants to evangelize this person quickly. I've seen it more on that side than really the Holy Spirit saying, you got to rush this person. You know what I mean? So, this is a time. It's a time that we're not going to rush people. We got to find the right people and right? And we have to be the ones that really get ourselves to understand how to evangelize even more properly. Let's really be those that check people well, discern really well, and let's make sure that we can find the people that God has chosen. And yes, it might feel like just the fact someone says they're going to do Bible study, it means that someone is chosen, but reality is that's not the truth. There are many people who do Bible study that are not chosen. It's true. Some people are lonely. Some people are just looking for friends. Some people are looking for this or that. But reality is we need to find people who are ready and made for this history. Does that mean they're perfect? No. But it means that God has a will for this person to be here. Do we know that some people don't have a will? And the answer is absolutely. We've seen it, right? We've seen that there are some people that some people might have mental problems. Some people might have issues, issues in life. And some people need to get those things taken care of first, right? Before they can actually be ready to come into a history that is very demanding, right? So I hope that everyone can really discern well, understand that this is not a history for everyone yet, right? Remember, I'm not going to ever say that the history is not for everyone. I'm going to say that some people are not ready for this history right now. Like in this moment in time, they are not ready. Nothing to do with are they ready ever. It's just that everyone has their window of time. Some people are ready now. Some people are ready tomorrow. Some people are ready next month, next year, 5 years, 10 years later. Everyone has their time. And if someone ever says to me like, oh, really? Like, shouldn't they come as soon as possible? And I'll be like, no, because think about this. There are times where Sunsim even says where people have done things where they have to pay their punishment first for 7 years, for 10 years, for 15, 14 years, whatever it is. They pay their price first and then they can come, right? So I hope that we don't play the role as in everyone deserves to be in this history. And, well, everyone doesn't deserve to be in this history right now. But we need to realize that we can bring many people into this history. And we have to be those that are searching for those that are ready right now at this moment. And, as we've seen all the craziness that's happened over the last 20 years with all these lawsuits, how many people have actually, turned against? Where Sunsim said that there's some people who have fallen in love and then later they turn around and they go against you, right? And they say that it never was, right? So I hope it's something that we can really understand well, and I hope it's something that we can really have our hearts and our minds in the best place too, right? So yeah, lots to think about, lots to do, and I hope that we can really evangelize really well for these remaining, how many months left? September, October, November, 3.5 months left, guys. We have a times and half a times left in this year before December comes, and let's really push and make sure that a powerful and amazing history actually happens. All right? So there it is, guys. That's today's Evangelism Word Study. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. Have any questions or anything else or things you want to add to evangelism, go ahead and put it in the comments below. All right? So before we get into the world news, let's move into the final music break of the day.
Take you where you wanna go. You gotta really show him that you want it though. He can show you where you wanna be. You gotta gotta put in work that'll be unseen. Look, and it's just like that. Take it to the golden city just with a snap. You don't even got a trip, no, we got your back. All you gotta do is sit back and relax. There's this love between you and I that is so strong. I don't wanna ever lose it, then I'll be alone. But if I leave his arms a wander, I'll be sitting all alone just to ponder. Make up your mind and act as you should. I'ma show you we can be the greatest dude I ever stood. Living with the Lord every day is like my paradise. If you leave your worries and concerns to him, you'll be alright.
Really wanna live with happiness and hope. You gotta live with the one you love the most. And don't forget that even on darkest roads, just find the Lord and grab your heart. Control your deeds. A pretty paradise right from the start.
Paradise.
All the night brings darkness. You're like the sun, yeah, you always shine so bright. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. Together we're the greatest. Just like the moon and the stars, we light the night. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise.
The weather's fine, the temperature's cool. 7 on earth, cause I'm with you. Ain't nothing better when we live forever. When we make ourselves to be one true love. Birds of a feather flock together. And it's just like that. Give you my love, cause I don't hold back. Pour me your love, cause I know you got stacks. This love is real, cause we got it like that. Sandy walks on the beach, summertime. Feel the heat, that's a love paradise. Holding hands, cool breeze, cloud 9. Make heaven together with you and I. Sandy walks on the beach, summertime. Feel the heat, that's a love paradise. Holding hands, cool breeze, cloud 9. Make heaven together with you and I.
Really wanna live with happiness and hope. You gotta live with the one you love the most. And don't forget that even on darkest roads, just find the Lord and grab your heart. Control your deeds. A pretty paradise right from the start.
Paradise.
All the night brings darkness. You're like the sun, yeah, you always shine so bright. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. Together we're the greatest. Just like the moon and the stars, we light the night. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise.
He can take you where you wanna go. 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 He can show you what you wanna know. He can show you what you wanna know. I have realized I'm not alone, because living with you is like my paradise.
All the night brings darkness. You're like the sun, yeah, you always shine so bright. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. Together we're the greatest. Just like the moon and the stars, we light the night. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. All the night brings darkness. You're like the sun, yeah, you always shine so bright. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. Together we're the greatest. Just like the moon and the stars, we light the night. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise.
Okay, so let's get into today's world news. What is happening around the world right now? And of course, as Sunstein has told us to watch the news to see what God is doing. And because of the wickedness of the time period, and because what is happening to Sunstein right now too, he said, keep a close eye and see what is happening. So here's a couple things. First, let's go to India. And scores still missing a week after India flash floods. So at least 66 people are still missing a week after flash floods hit the northern Indian state of Uttarakhand. According to an official statement, only one body has been recovered so far. The statement added, revising an earlier death toll of 4. Nearly half of one village called Dorali was submerged on August 5th in a mudslide caused by heavy rains and flash floods. An army camp nearby also suffered extensive damage. Rescue operations are continuing at the site of the disaster as workers search for missing people. The work has been affected by inclement weather and the blockage of a key highway near the site due to the mudslides. So it's basically weeks of heavy rain, have pounded Uttarakhand with in this whole region, home to the Darali village, among the worst hit by flooding. Around 1,300 people have been rescued from near Darali since last week, officials said. So heavy rains last week had led to the swelling of the Kirganga River in the region, sending tons of muddy waters gushing downwards on the hilly terrain, covering roads, buildings, and shops in Darali and nearby Harsil village. So that's the first thing that's going on. Second thing, in Turkey, an earthquake flattens buildings in northeast Balıkesir province. So one person has died in Turkey after a magnitude 6.1 earthquake struck the northwest province of Balıkesir on Sunday evening. An 81-year-old woman passed away shortly after she was pulled out from rubble in the town of Sindurgi, which was the epicenter of the quake, and Turkey's interior minister also was reporting on this. 16 buildings collapsed as a result of the tremors, and 29 people have been injured. Turkey's disaster management agency said that the quake was recorded at around 7:53 p.m. local time and was felt as far away as Istanbul. Right, so President Erdogan issued a statement wishing a swift recovery to everyone who was affected and said that all recovery efforts were being closely monitored. Last but not least, we're looking at like in Spain and Portugal. And because of the record heat waves that are happening, there has been wildfires burning across Spain and Portugal. Emergency crews are battling multiple wildfires across Spain and Portugal as a record-breaking heat wave continues across Europe. Firefighters worked through the night on Monday in an effort to contain a blaze burning in the municipality of Tres Cantos, located 23 kilometers north of Madrid. Extreme temperatures in Spain and Portugal are expected to continue until at least Wednesday, officials say, with forecast reaching up to 44 degrees Celsius. So knowing all these things that are happening, these are things that we do need to keep in mind and pray, knowing the situation of the world right now. I hope that everyone is praying and repenting for the world, and that we can be those that set the great conditions for these 40-day prayer conditions too. All right? We do have Netflix just a couple days away, so I hope that all of us will be ready, prepared for this, and take care of each other well. And until tomorrow, guys, this is the end of today's Wednesday podcast. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when